Hello everyone and welcome to the Charlotte and Gaslighting podcast. This is episode 24. It's been a very long while since I last recorded. I've had trouble with my camera. I lost the charger, well, more accurately, I forgot it at home before I moved to Bath for the semester. So I couldn't really use my camera and I was generally busy with stuff, life. Anyways, the important thing is I'm now all set up in Bath where I'll be studying until June, and I've got the charger back so I can use the camera. And yeah, I apologise if the light changes dramatically in the course of the episode. The weather is currently quite nice, but it was a proper downpour about 10 minutes ago when I set up the camera. I've had the settings on with a lot of exposition, so that if it gets dark you can still see the colours of the yarn that I show you, which means that I'm probably a bit washed out at the moment. I've got this many notes for this episode. This much notes, I don't know, a lot of notes. I've got everything around me. I'm a bit nervous, I must admit, because it's been well over a month since the last episode, probably well over 2 months. So yeah, it's a bit hard to get back in the movie of things. You may notice that my accent is a lot more British than it was before. It's just that, of course, because I'm in England at the moment, I hear most people around me speak in a British accent, mostly English accent, and so yeah, this happens to my voice in these types of situations. And okay, I'll just get started then. So for those of you who are new, I'm Charlotte of Charlotte and Gus, and Gus is my cat. Unfortunately, pets are not allowed in my building, so I had to leave him in Paris with my boyfriend, so he's in nice hands and is not alone. I do miss him very much, but he's just better off over there. And so it will be just Charlotte for this episode and probably for the next ones until I go back to Paris. And just one more piece of information before I start with the regular content. In the last episode I mentioned a giveaway for tiny scissors. Unfortunately, before I left, my boyfriend had me pack away my yarn because he wanted to deep fry things in the kitchen and just generally have the apartment to himself completely, and my yarn was taking over. And so the prizes for this giveaway have been packed away. So I do have the thread, and I have picked the winners, and I will just get on that whenever I unpack the prizes, basically. So that's that, and we can start with the knitting. Currently I'm feeling very frustrated with my knitting. The last few projects that I've completed I was not 100% satisfied with, and my design ideas have not been working out as well as I would want them to. So yeah, I think that's also part of the reason why I haven't been sharing as much on Instagram and on YouTube, of course. It's just when you're not happy with what you do, you sort of want to keep it to yourself, and you probably don't feel as confident sharing it with others, and it's because it does not inspire you, you probably, well, I know, I feel like it's not going to inspire anyone else, so I want to keep it to myself. But I did finish a few objects. I don't really know when I stopped sharing with you, so just going to share with you what I have with me. The oldest project that I completed is this pair of mittens, and they are very loosely based on a concept by Drungle Knits. Because the thumbs are pointing in the same directions, it looks like I've made two bright hands, but actually I haven't. Yeah, it's probably less confusing this way. So Drungle Knits on Ravelry has a pair of mittens, a pattern for mittens, which is called How Cold Is It? And it is a bit of a euphemism for the actual writing on the mitten, which is, there's going to be strong language, called AF, except it's spelled out completely. I thought it was very funny, and I thought, oh, I'd like to make a pair, only I'd like to have it say it in French, and so this is what it says. Of course, because it's strong language, the translation is not word for word. Il caille, the two first words, so it's il caille. It means it's cold, but it's sort of slang for it's cold. And sa mère literally means his or her mom, but young people use it to say AF, so it's a bit strong language. But it also means that a non-native speaker will not think much of this, and so yeah. I adapted the pattern completely. I just made it almost from scratch. I did a 2-colour tubular cast on, or Italian cast on, which I should have done probably on tinier needles, because it sort of rolls over and it's not the best finishing. And then I did some corrugated ribbing, which was a first for me, and I very much enjoyed the result. It's very tight and snug, and there's no air coming through there. Then I did a bit of Fair Isle, just to finish off the cuff, and then I started on the main body of the mitten. Following recommendations from Eva of the Charm of It podcast, I placed the increases for the thumb 5 stitches from the edge, and what it means is that it prevents the pattern on the back of the hand, it prevents it from twisting. So as you can see, I've got my thumb, and this is still very much aligned with my hand. To avoid weirdness on the edge, because I worked in Magic Loop, I did a 3-stitch column of darker colours, so it's just, it does not lay flat. I don't know if I can show you that. It does not really lay flat, but because it's in a darker colour, you can't really tell from afar. I did this very tiny, really like the motif I chose for the palm, and as you can tell, they are convertible, which means that I can pop my fingers out, and this will just stay put on the back of my hand, laying flat, without the use of a button here. So that's kind of cool. They do not close completely, but there's sufficient overlap between the top and the bottom part of the mitt so that I don't get cold, and especially since the resting position of the hand is something like that, that means that it folds over on the inside. I don't get cold. Of course now the temperatures are much milder and I'm not going to have much use of them. I finished them probably 2 weeks ago, so I haven't had much time to wear them, but it's okay. I will take them to Edinburgh just because I feel that if it's windy and I'm visiting a castle or just open areas, might be handy to have them. A funny thing about these, I created the chart on an Excel file and I followed it from the computer, and then at some point my computer froze and I had to restart it, reboot it the hard way, which means that I lost all the modifications that had not been saved, and that meant I had made the motif taller by about an inch, and that got lost. And so when I reopened the file to do the second one, I completely forgotten about this modification, and I ended up finishing this one. I think the second one was an inch shorter, yeah. So finished this one an inch shorter. I cut it in the middle to make it convertible, and then realised that I could not fit my hand in it. So I then ripped from the top, knit an inch more, and then started again to decrease. That means that the placement of the opening is not they're not aligned. They don't match. Yeah. You couldn't tell when I'm wearing them, so I don't mind. And yeah, just don't forget to save your files as you edit them. This is just what I'll say. Something else that's interesting is, I don't know if you can see, this is the second mitt that I knit, and this corrugated rib is just very messy, especially at the bottom, as you can see, compared to the other one, which is the cast on rolls a bit, but it's otherwise very neat. The difference between the bottom 5 rows and the rest is the change of yarns and the hems in which I hold them. So I can't remember. It's a bit of a shame that I don't remember, but basically for the first 5 rows I had, say, yarn A in my right hand and yarn B in my left hand, and that was very messy, and then I just changed, and because I hold, so yeah, I don't know if what makes the difference is whether the pearl yarn is in the left hand and goes over or under the other yarn, or if it is just that I cannot purl continental, or that I purl too loosely continental. Anyways, I think I ended up purling with the right hand, and that made for a tidier corrugated rib. So you might want to swatch with both combinations if you do that for the first time, and figure out which one works best for you, especially since if you hold both yarns in different hands. So that was the first project. I used yarns. Okay, the purple yarn is from Ovis etc. And she sells her yarn on Etsy, and although she does not use natural dyeing techniques, she uses I can't remember the brand of the dyes, but they're eco-friendly-ish acid dyes, or as eco-friendly as acid dyes can be, basically. And the base of the yarn is Ignay, and I can't remember what the content is exactly, but I'll link to a shop on Ravelry probably for the show notes. And if I don't do it, just remind me, or just ask me on Instagram or somewhere, anywhere, I'll link it to you. And then the Off-White, which is a very, very pale pink, and you cannot really tell, is by Studio Mares. I think this is how you pronounce it, and she's from Belgium. And the yarn is 100% Polwarth, I think. It is very soft. I've just fallen in love with this yarn. It is the softest thing. I think it's softer than merino, which, yeah, it seems a bit odd, but it really is very, very soft, and it feels woolly. But the yarn is very smooth, and I like the stitch definition, which shows better on this one. This one has been blocked and the other one hasn't. Yeah. And she used natural dyes, so she sells on Bit Cartel, and she has some very small updates, I think. But again, I'll link to her shop in the show notes, and she also has a very lovely Instagram. So I think this is it. I've mentioned everything. I used Hiya Hiya knot sharps. I just discovered Hiya Hiya knot sharps, and I almost love them more than the sharps, especially for sock needles, when you don't have to do lace patterns. The tip is still okay. The tip is still sharp, not just quite as sharp as with sharps. Do I have a pair of sharps to show you? Not in sock sizes. And the cord is green, and I don't know if I like them because of the colour of the cord or just the sort of bluntness. I don't want to say bluntness because it doesn't feel blunt at all. It just does not hurt your fingers. And if you've had a bad experience with Hiya Hiya sharps, and you thought, oh, they're very slick, I like them, I like the cord, but it just hurts my fingers, maybe you want to give these a try? I don't know. So the next project that I finished was a pair of socks. And I used the remainder of the wire Cosmic Strings yarn that I used for the gazebo socks, and I made a full pair of socks. And the design is, again, one of my own, but I don't know if I like it or love it, or I think it's okay, but I'm not very convinced, not impressed with myself, let's say. I don't have my sock blockers, so I'm going to try and show you. And of course this is not the best colourway to show a pattern. So this is the front of the sock, and I don't know if you can tell. There's a 2x2 rib there, and then just here it sort of splits in the middle, and in the middle here is stockinette, and then the 2x2 rib continues, and it goes into a bit of a point there. This is the tip of the mountain, sort of, and it's the same on the other side. Oh my god, you cannot... Okay, so you can't really tell what's going on. Poor judgment on my part of matching a pattern with a sock collarway, yarn collarway. I'm just going to try and pop it on so you can see better. I did a German short row heel, and on the top part of the short row, instead of working stockinette, I worked a slip stitch pattern, which is the same slip stitch as you do for a sort of regular heel flap heel. So let me put it on. And then, yeah, I'm very not impressed. These are too short for me, so I'm gonna have to give them to someone who has tinier feet than mine. But let me see. Can you tell? Maybe you can tell on this one better. Not really. Don't think you can. Don't feel like it makes much of a difference. Anyways, reason why I'm not satisfied with this. You can't really see the rib pattern. So it feels like a bit of a waste of time. We should have just done a straight vanilla sock. And second reason why I'm not really proud of myself for these. For some reason I made them a full inch too short. And I don't feel like, because you can't really see the pattern anyways, I don't really want to like open them up from the top and continue with them. And I could do it very easily because they were cuffed down, but yeah, I don't really want to see them anymore. So now I've showed them to you. I don't know if it was very useful because you can't really see anything anyways. And I'll give them to a friend of mine to whom I promised a pair of socks, and she has very tiny feet, so it should fit her. Let me adjust the focus there. Okay, so I'll give them to her. The yarn, if you like it and it's just not suited to this pattern, but I think for a vanilla sock it's very interesting. It is, again, Warrior, that's the colourway. I don't know what the base of the sock is. It was a 75 merino, 25% nylon. I don't know if it has a name. And the yarn dyeing company is Cosmic Strings, and they're based in Edinburgh, I think. They're UK based anyways. Okay, so that was my zigzaggy pair of socks. I may in the future knit them again with solid colours so I can make more sense of the pattern. Yeah. And if, I don't know, maybe in that case I'll probably write down the pattern, how it tested, because it's a fairly simple pattern. It was a complete fail with this yarn. And I do have, the one thing that makes me sort of still like these socks is something very funny happened when I was knitting them. I took them to the cinema. I went to see La La Land. I'm a big fan of musicals. If you've followed me for a while, maybe you know. And if not, well, now you do. So I went to see La La Land here in Bath at the Little Theatre, which is a very tiny movie theatre. It has only two screens, so it's very, very tiny. And I was knitting away on my sock, and it was probably 1 hour into the movie, maybe a bit less, and the ball of yarn sort of jumped out of my bag and started to roll down the room through the centre aisle. So people noticed it rolling, and some of them were a bit alarmed. I think some of them may have thought that it was a rat or something, and others sort of amused, understood that it was a ball of yarn and sort of looked up, followed the yarn to me and smiled at me. And I really wanted to continue knitting. I felt very frustrated. So I started to pull on the yarn and see if it would work without disturbing the rest of the people in the room. And because I was pulling from the yarn at the height of my wrist, basically, it sort of lifted the yarn from the floor, and so people would see it and notice it, and it would distract them from the movie. So I didn't want that to happen, but I blocked the yarn under my shoe on the floor, and so when I pulled on it, it sort of ran flat on the carpet until it reached the sole of my shoe, and then from there up. And so only pull on it when the light was very dim, and when the scenes were sort of sunny or bright, I would not tug on the yarn and not pull it so as to not distract the rest of the people. But it was very funny for me, sort of amused me throughout the movie. Yeah. Anyways, if that ever happens to you, I know it's happened to me in the metro as well, that the roll of yarn sort of gets wild and rolls all the way across the train or something. It's always funny when it happens, terrifying. I usually start sweating profusely, and especially because it was a movie, I didn't want to get up and go and get it when the movie was playing, even though I feel like people got up, at least 3 people got up in the middle of the film to go to the bathroom or something. So I definitely could have done it, I just didn't feel like it. Yeah, I'd rather stay hidden. I usually sit on the very last row anyways, so that nobody can see me knitting in the movies. But yeah, that was the funny story with this pair of socks. So moving on to the third project, and keeping with this sort of unfortunate events and disappointment, or at least not complete satisfaction with myself, is my Edinburgh Yarn Festival pullover. So it is, I knew I wanted a cabled pullover. I waited for Michelle Wong's newest collection, the Brooklyn Tweed, to come out because I thought maybe we should have something for me. I did love all the cables, but the shapes were a bit too baggy or boxy or just oversized, and I wanted something that was very fitted, cropped, that I could wear on top of a dress. That's basically what I thought. I thought I wanted something that could work at work, in an office, when you're supposed to dress professional, and you don't want your cardigan or pullover to look like something you'd wear in a cottage on the sea. You want it to look city-like, is what I was looking for. So I did inspire myself very heavily on one of the cable patterns that she had, I think in a Radmere cardigan, and I modified it just a tiny bit, and I added some other cables, and this was my undoing, and this is exactly what I shouldn't have done, and it's the reason why I'm not satisfied with this. And then I sort of measured myself and designed a sweater. I don't think I did a very good job in it, but it's too late to go back now. I'm just going to finish this and hope that it turns out sort of okay, and then I can finish it in the 10 days left before the festival. So this is where I'm at. I've got a front and the back is attached to it. Okay, how do I hold this so you can see? It is not very long, so I want it to sit on my waist. And basically it's got this, the center cable panel is the one I got from Michelle's pattern. And then on the sides I added a column of sort of smaller cables. And the thing is, they're too much on the side, and so it's not flattering at the bust and the chest. It's so the cables run on the side of my boobs basically, and it's just not very flattering. So I'm just gonna knit it, wear it, and we'll see when it's completely finished and the sleeves sort of pull on it a bit, and there's not much I can do right now. I'm not gonna rip it, I'm not gonna cut it, I'm not gonna steek it, I'm just gonna go for it and finish it, and yeah. So on the back, I'm almost done with the back, as you can see. Got all of this. And I've seen the sides so I could try it on. So you can see, you can see the seam a lot because it's on a pearl side. Well, it's pearl stitches against pearl stitches. For some reason that shows much more than when you do mattress stitch on knit stitches. And I think it also doesn't help that I did a slip stitch edge, which I find is easier when you want to sew up the sides, but it also means that it shows a bit more on the pearl sides. It's gonna have sort of a boat neck, or at least a very wide and high neck. So I think you could say boat. And there's not going to be any cables on the sleeves. Because I have no idea how to place them on the sleeves, because it's going to be faster if it's just stockinette, and because placement of the cables is what was my undoing with the body, so I'm not going to repeat the same mistake. I'm just going to go with reverse stockinette for the sleeves. And hopefully this will be finished for Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and it will not be as much of a disaster as I think it's going to be. Fingers crossed. I do love the centre cable panel. I'm very bummed that I shouldn't have done the side panels, especially since they were such a pain in the ass to knit, and I just wish I hadn't done them. But it's too late. You live and learn. It's a quick knit. This is just under 2 skeins of DK weight yarn, so it's about 500 meters. It's not a lot. I'm sure I could do another one. And the yarn that I used is DK Twist by Madeline Tosh, and the colourway is Phantasm, and it doesn't show very well on camera, although this is a good representation of it, but the colour also changes a lot in real life. Sometimes I pick it up and I think, oh, I don't remember it was this colour. So on camera it's even more difficult to capture. But it's a very beautiful colour. It's a bit similar to what I'm wearing now. Do I want to say anything else about this? Not really. And so I will move on to some other projects. So I have this pullover on the needles, and I also have a sock that I started this morning, and it's just a tiny cuff at the moment, and it may be a design. I don't know if it's going to turn out okay. This is my second try of an idea that I've had, and I was not very satisfied with the first result that came out, the way it came out, so this is my second attempt. Hopefully this works nicely, otherwise I'm going to start to get very, very frustrated with myself. And yeah, I'm going to work on these two until I finish at least the back of the sweater, and wait until I cast on my next project, which is going to be a DK weight brioche shawl. And again, it's going to be a design by me. I've really wanted to have a DK weight brioche shawl because it's windy and wet in Bath, and I've been sick for the last, well, I was sick for 2 weeks. I'm now feeling much better, but really wanted to cozy up in a big shawl. And I've been wearing my my TP shawl a lot here, but it's still fingering weight, and I feel I wanted something that was bigger, more substantial, probably a bit deeper. in the front as well. So I've chosen my two colours, and this is again DK Twist by Madeline Tosh. This golden colour is Foundry, and this black and white is Void. And so I'm going to be pairing these two for a brioche shawl. I've swatched a tiny version of it. It should work. If it doesn't, again, I'm going to be very frustrated with myself. For some reason, because I've had so many failures recently, or not failures completely, but underwhelming results, I'm not very optimistic for the future, which I think is... I should be optimistic with the future. I should think that I'm finally going to be able to do something that works. So it's going to be a brilliant success. That new shawl is going to be a brilliant success. And talking about brioche shawls, I think it's finally time I showed you my latest design that is going to come out very, very soon. I do still have to release the 13 cardigan, and I'm going to get around to that. But I feel a bit less confident about the pattern. There's been some issues in the test. I really want to make sure that everything works out fine when I release it to you, and so that's why it's not been released, even though I thought it would be. But the shawl, it is still being tested, but there hasn't been any major issues with it. I still have to sort of do the final touches on the PDF file, and I will be giving the sample to Amy and Flavien Aimé at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. But I have with me my own sample and the one of for the shop, so I'm just going to show them to you. I'm going to start with the actual sample because this is the one that you'll see on Instagram and everything. So this is the Vortex shawl. Unfortunately, I think Vortex is already taken by someone on Ravelry, so I'll have to find the exact wording that makes it work for me. It's going to be Vortex shawl. Maybe I'll call it Vortex brioche shawl, just so that it's clearer for everyone. And it is huge. It is 3 colours, and this is it. Woo! Doesn't fit. This is one end, and this is the other one. It is symmetrical. It is, well, the shape is basically a flat diamond, very long and flat diamond, and there you go. And this is how I would put it on. Probably the easiest way to do it if you want to have sort of all the volume here. And so it is 2 colour brioche and garter. The centre diamond here, this is garter. It smells wonderful because it's just been blocked. Well, it hasn't just been blocked, but it's been in a Ziploc bag since it's been taken off the... Since I took it off of the blocking mat. As you can see, the tip is 1 colour brioche, and then it transitions into the 2 colours for the main body. And so in this sample, the beige is parchment. The dark grey that you can see in the background, it's very dark grey, is Direwolf? No, it's not. Loam. It's loam. And the sort of aqua, lavender, lilac colour is Liesel. And yeah, it's just beautiful, isn't it? It looks like the inside of an oyster shell. I just love it. So it used most of the 3 skeins, and as usual with my shawl designs, not many stitches on the needles at one point. The longest row I think comes just under 200 stitches, or probably around yeah, it's less than 200 stitches throughout. There's an interesting construction feature with the center diamond. And when you reach the diamond and you finish it, the rows are going to start getting smaller until you finally end up binding off either 7 or 11 stitches, something like that. So yeah, if you are looking for your new project, this might just be it. It wraps around you comfortably. I will have a little video on Instagram showing you how to wear it, and you will have sort of bigger angle shots of it. And just for you, I have here my first version, which has a different sort of looking result. The center collar was very dark, and this is Lapsang Souchong, so it's a very dark navy. And this is the tip. And then for the main body, it almost seems like it's just one colour, but it's not. It's 2 very similar colours. On this side it looks a bit orangey, and this is Pêche Mignon, so it's peach with a little bit of speckles, green speckles. And on this side, this is the other side, it looks a bit more lilac, but it's very washed out. And this was a one-off sort of happy accident. And again, it's La Bien Aimée Yarns. If you don't know Amy, well, you should get to know her work. She is brilliant with colours. She will be vending at Edinburgh Yarn Festival if you're going there, and she has regular updates, and she ships worldwide. If you're in the US or anywhere else in the world, you should be able to get your hands on some of the beautiful yarn. So I'm keeping this one, and I've been wearing it for a while. I had it for New Year's Eve, probably finished it somewhere in late November, early December, and it has been one of my shawls of choice. Oh no, wait. I did finish it in November. So yeah, I don't know when I'll be releasing it for sure. Either just before Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which is say next week, or just after. Probably not during, because I'll be busy doing some other stuff at that time, namely buying a lot of yarn at the festival, visiting the city, and actually this brings me to Edinburgh Yarn Festival and what's going to happen in the near future. I'm going to the festival. If you don't know, if you're not from Europe, in England mostly, Edinburgh Yarn Festival is a fairly new festival. It's probably the 4th or 5th edition. It is held in Edinburgh. There's a big marketplace. There are classes, although I wasn't able to enroll in any of the classes. They sold out very quickly, the ones I was interested in but yeah, I am running out of battery, so I'm gonna have to sign off soon. Just wanted to let you know that I'll be arriving in Edinburgh on Thursday. I'll be leaving on Sunday, and even though I don't have classes on the 2 days when there are classes, I will be in the city. I will be going on my own, which means that if you're looking for a travel companion, if you are visiting with friends and want me to join you, or wouldn't mind me joining you because I will be on my own, I would love to join you. So just come and say hello on Instagram, maybe let me know what your plans are, and yeah, I'll try and see everyone who wants to see me. I'm not a hugger, but if you see me and you feel like hugging me, I will hug you. And generally I'm a bit shy and awkward in with new people, but I do want to meet new people, so it's just don't take offence if I say weird stuff. Basically, I'm rushing a bit because I can see red flashes everywhere on my screen telling me that it's going to turn off very soon. It was very, very lovely catching up with all of you. I hope you had a very great last 2 months and that you have a lovely week, and I will talk to you soon, probably just after the festival when I come back, show you all of the yarn that I've bought, and maybe some progress on my shawl and my finished sweater, and hopefully the sock design as well. Yeah, so bye bye.